Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back inside the Brogan Hillman Show. And today, what a special time of year, right after Christmas, and now we are blessed with this new 12-team playoff for college football, along with the NFL playoffs. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. We have two semifinal games coming up, one today, one tomorrow, and then we have Wildcard weekend for the NFL. But before we get into it, let's do a quick prayer and let's do our daily devotion. Lord, I just thank you that we're on this earth and we have this opportunity to just go around and worship you each and every day and just grow, get a little better with every single day, everything we do, and we can just worship you with our name and fully. Everything we do is just for you. You're the center of our lives, and we can worship you and grow to be better individuals and a better messenger for you, Lord. And I just pray you use our body and you use it to our strengths, Lord, and we use it to make this world a better place. And I just pray that whoever is listening to this or watching this just knows they are never alone. You are always by their side, and they are a child of God, and they are forever loved and have that eternal comfort, and that they should turn to you and worship you with all that they say and do. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. It is always important, just like you eat your daily food to keep your body sustained, to have your daily bread, your daily devotion, and to keep your spiritual aspect, your relationship with the Lord sustained as well. But now that we did our daily devotion, we did our prayer, we got that out of the way, college football playoffs, the semifinals, the first game tonight, Penn State, Notre Dame, a great game, a very physical game. These two games, first of all, this whole semifinal, four blue blood programs, just amazing teams. Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, four teams with so much culture and so much history. This is why we love this 12-team playoff, because you sort of weed out those little outsiders, Boise State, SMU. You just weed all those types of teams out. You give them a chance. You give them a fair shot. They earn their spot. You gave them a fair shot, but now they're out of this. You know they can't hang with the big dogs, and this is here to show. It's the semifinals. We have these awesome matchups. We have Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas. Just two matchups. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year we would have had this matchup, I would have believed you. Two unbelievable games. And I believe they're both going to be very, very good games. I believe starting off here, we're starting off with Notre Dame, Penn State. I believe Notre Dame, they did exactly what I expected them to do against Georgia. They got after that quarterback. Even though Gunnar Stockton did not play a bad game, Georgia fans should be very, very excited about Gunnar. He played a pretty clean game, besides from that one fumble on his blind side, which he didn't really see. Not really his fault, but Notre Dame just so physical. That defense was stout the way they needed to be. Riley Leonard was good with his legs. They got first downs when they needed to, picked them up, just kept the ball moving down the field. They kept Georgia off the field, and they just put up points on the board, and they really kept the dogs out of that game. They put it out of reach early, and I think Notre Dame is going to do the same thing to Penn State, but I don't think Penn State is going to put up much of a fight in this game. Penn State is a team that had a cupcake all the way to the semifinals, and I'll be the first to say it. They played SMU, and then they played Boise State. Sure, Boise State was good this year, but that Mountain West cupcake competition landed them right in the 3 seed, and Penn State got a beautiful seed all the way through to this semifinal spot. SMU, the 11, and then you play Boise State, the fraudulent 3, just because that's the way the committee has it set up. They got a lucky draw, Penn State did. And I've been on their side this whole time until now, because I believe Notre Dame is just one of the most physical, most stout teams in the nation. I believe they're going to give Penn State trouble. I believe Drew Allar and that offense is not going to be able to move on that Notre Dame defense. And I believe this Fighting Irish is going to make a statement game. And I believe they're going to win by at least more than one possession. I believe they're going to win by 10 points plus. I believe it's not going to be too close. I believe Riley Leonard and that offense is going to do what they've been doing all year, and that's just doing enough. They're not a crazy offense. They're not anything special. I mean, Jeremiah Love, he is one of the best running backs in the country. That young man is special. Riley Leonard, he's a good system quarterback. He's really nothing more in my eyes. I don't think he's going to go high in the draft. I don't think he's going to be a franchise quarterback. I don't think anyone really expects that. But he does what he needs to, and he gets the job done. He is a winner. He won at Duke. They beat Clemson last year. He's a winner here. They lost to Northern Illinois. They bounced back. They won 10 straight games. Now they're sitting right here in the semifinals playing a Penn State team that they should beat. I have them favored. I think they're a lot more physical. I think they match up better. I think they have better players overall. And I think the Fighting Irish are going to come out here. They're going to win this game again, 10 plus points. Penn State's going to struggle to do anything on offense. Defense is going to have trouble at times containing Riley Leonard inside the pocket, containing Jeremiah Love when he takes those stretches to the outside, when he bounces back, maybe some misdirection. He is so efficient with the football in his hands, and I just think it's going to be so hard for Penn State to slow that down. And I think Riley Leonard and this Fighting Irish team, just like we predicted last episode, which, by the way, we went 4 for 4 in the first round. 4 for 4 with our predictions, and now we're sitting here in the semifinals, and we're just saying Notre Dame, way favored over Penn State, in my eyes at least, and then Ohio State, way favored over Texas, in my eyes at least. My national championship from the jump last video was Notre Dame, Ohio State. All those first-round games played out the way, or the quarterfinal games, my apologies, played out the way that I figured they would play out. Ohio State over Oregon, Texas over Arizona State, in a game where Arizona State was alive, and they very much were in that overtime matchup. That was the best game of the quarterfinals for me personally. And then Notre Dame just did what they needed to against Georgia, outplayed them, out-physical. And then just Penn State over Boise State, because Boise State really just couldn't hang. Ashton Jeanty didn't have a terrible day, but it was not enough against that Penn State defense, which has been the storyline this college football playoff. Can you do enough? Can you hold your opponent out of the game, take them out, rely on your defense, and win? The old saying, defense wins championships, has been showing up here in the college football playoff, and that's why I believe Notre Dame is going to rout Penn State in that first semifinal matchup. Now moving over to Friday night, tomorrow night, Ohio State, Texas, a very historically rich matchup, an old matchup, and I believe Ohio State is going to come out. They, just like we said against Oregon, they're going to come out hot. They're going to come out the gate. They did just that. Jeremiah Smith, a minute into the game, touchdown. Jeremiah Smith later, 62 yards, something like that, touchdown. Emeka Egbuka, 42-yard touchdown strike. This is an offense that can strike from anywhere. They can strike from their own 1-yard line. They can strike from your 1-yard line. And Texas just played a defensive battle, which is concerning beyond belief. You let Arizona State, Cam Scatterbo, a very respectable offense, by the way, come all the way back, down 14 at halftime, give it to you late into the game, get the ball back, tie it up, send it to overtime, and almost knock you off in overtime. I mean, sure, Brent Auburn is somewhat to blame for that game even having to go to overtime, but you should not be reliant on your kicker in the college football playoffs against a team that was supposed to finish 16th in the Big 12. I mean, Texas just scare on defense late into that matchup, and if they do that anywhere remotely close to Ohio State, they're losing by 50. This game's over in the first quarter, in the first 5 minutes. But I do believe it'll be a little closer. I believe Ohio State's going to come out here. They're going to strike again early. Jeremiah Smith wouldn't be surprised. I'll call out a player name. Jeremiah Smith would not be surprised if he scores within the first 5 minutes of this matchup. Texas's defense is not anything to really be worried about if you're a Buckeye fan going into this game. You just gave Oregon 34 in the first half. They've come out here to put up 42 on a 2-loss SEC school in Tennessee. They turn around, the unanimous number 1 seed, undefeated, 14-0 Oregon Ducks, and you put up 34 in the first half like it's nothing. This is an offense that can strike, just like we mentioned it, from anywhere with all their playmakers. Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins, Carnell Tate. That receiver room, wide receiver U, goes deep, and they're showing it for a reason. This Buckeyes team can seriously come out here and slaughter Texas if they want to. They could beat Texas by 50 right here if they wanted to and really show just how dominant they are this season and how fluke those losses were. You can say I'm on the Ohio State bandwagon. I am, all the way. I think Ohio State's going to take this matchup handily. I think they're going to win by 2 scores at least, and I think the Buckeyes are going to roll right into Georgia, all the momentum right into the national championship, and I believe Ohio State is going to face Notre Dame. The same prediction as last video after we had Ohio State starting off early, beating Oregon by a score or 2, which happened. Then we had Texas again. Just all these predictions lining up, and I'm here to do it again in the semifinals. I'll say it again. I'm here to do it again. Ohio State, I believe they're going to beat Texas by at least 2 touchdowns, not 2 scores. I believe they're going to beat them by at least 14. and then I believe Notre Dame's going to flip the script and they're going to beat Penn State by at least 10. I believe these games aren't going to be as close as these quarterfinal matchups were, and I believe we're going to see Ohio State rout Texas into the national championship, and we're going to see Notre Dame handle Penn State easy peasy lemon squeezy right into the national championship. And then once again, I just have the Buckeyes winning that national championship. I don't think it'll be a crazy game. I don't think it'll be a special game. I just think they'll do enough, which has been the key word this whole playoff, enough. I believe Ohio State will come out here. They'll play the game they have to. They're going to hold off Notre Dame, and they're going to beat them overall just for their national championship. They love winning on inaugural years of new playoff formats. They won the first year of the 4-team against Oregon, funny enough, and then they turn around, and I believe they're going to win this year against Notre Dame. I just believe they play so well when it's the first year of a brand new system. I believe they're one of the best teams in college football, and I also believe that they're going to hoist that trophy at the end of the season. I have the Ohio State Buckeyes rolling past Texas and then beating Notre Dame in the national championship to hold that crown victorious. Once again, the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to come on top at the end of this college football season. Now, that could be easy to say this college football season, and we could end this episode right here. I could take a breath because we just did a lot of ranting, a lot of talking about this semifinal matchup, a lot of talking about this college football playoff matchup. But now we got to flip the script because we turn to Saturday. We have 5 straight days of playoff football, and they are not the same leagues because we flip to Saturday, the third day of this 5 playoff day stretch. And we're looking at a whole different bracket. You see right here, this is the NFL this time. We're not talking college. We're talking the National Football League, the best of the best on full display. We have 6 matchups over the course of 3 days, over the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, even Monday. We sprinkle in that Rams-Viking matchup. This is going to be so fun to watch. We're not going to go through it in any particular order. We're just going to go through it. And we're going to start off here at the top. We're going to start with Buffalo and Denver. The thing about this matchup is teams have been going into Buffalo in the past couple years and just not being able to compete. I mean, we have the Bills up in Buffalo in January. This game's going to be played, January 12th, around that area? Not exactly sure. I believe it's January 12th. Sounds about right. This is a Broncos team. Granted, they're not used to warm weather themselves, so they can probably give them the best matchup they've seen in recent years in this wild card in Buffalo. Miami didn't give them a challenge. Pittsburgh didn't give them a challenge. I mean, years back there hasn't been really any challenge in Buffalo on wild card weekend. The Bills have handled that always, but I believe the Broncos, Bo Nix, their rookie quarterback, this could be an exclamation point game. This could be an upset watch game. Bo Nix, 7 games with multiple passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions. The first ever rookie in NFL history to do that at the quarterback position. But I don't believe it'll be enough. I believe Buffalo, they just play so comfortably in their own stadium. Their fans are going to show up. They always do. Bills Mafia runs deep. As a Dolphins fan, I hate it, but I respect it so much. That is the best fan base in the NFL by far. Buffalo travels deep. They get crazy. They get rowdy. And for this playoff game, they're going to hold Buffalo out of it. I believe the Bills win this game by at least 2 or 3 touchdowns. They hold off pretty steadily, and Buffalo advances to the next round of the playoffs to play whoever besides the Chiefs, because they can't, obviously, they're the 2 seed. Moving on down, the Ravens-Steelers, a divisional AFC North matchup. Wow, we get to see this on Wildcard Weekend. We don't have to wait till a latter round of the playoffs to see the Steelers-Ravens rematch. It was such a good series this whole regular season. Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, that classic AFC North knocking heads matchup in the Wildcard. And this could be a great game on either side. This could be anyone's matchup. I believe MV3 Lamar Jackson is going to come out here. He's in such a tight-knit race against his opponent up in Buffalo, who we just talked about, Josh Allen, also Joe Burrow, who I really wanted to see Joe Burrow in that 7 spot. Even as a Dolphins fan, I would have been all right if we lost our spot to allow the Bengals to get that 7 seed. I didn't really want to see the Broncos, but I'll take Bo Nix. I'll take a rookie quarterback in a wild card in Buffalo. That's all right. But this AFC North matchup, back to it. The Steelers-Ravens. Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, they played tough knit all regular season. Steelers sort of falling apart towards the end of the season there. People not too happy there in Pittsburgh. But I believe they might be able to reel this in, make this a closer matchup than a lot of people expect. Lamar Jackson in the playoffs hasn't been amazing. They had a good run last year all the way to the AFC Championship, and I believe they're going to want to see some sort of run like that once again. I believe Baltimore is going to come out here, and it'll be a closer game, people expect. I believe the Ravens are going to win by 7. I believe they'll come out here, they'll win by a touchdown score, but it might not be that storyline of the game. I don't think it'll be a close game necessarily. I believe they'll win by 7, but I do believe the Ravens are going to be up in the lead the whole time. They're going to be sitting sweet, and then eventually some garbage time touchdowns by Pittsburgh, some late game management just to make it look better than it was. I believe the Ravens are going to come out here and they're going to win this game by a touchdown, but in just fashion to where you see the game and you go, okay, the Ravens had full control. There was never really a true threat, true striking distance from the Steelers. So I believe Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are going to go out there and advance, and that means they're going to play Buffalo in the next round due to both seeds, the Texans and the Chargers, being higher than the Ravens. So it'd be Ravens-Bills in a divisional matchup, which would just be another great game. But we're not going to get into divisional matchups tonight. We're just going to stick with Wildcard weekend. Moving on down the ladder, Texans-Chargers, a great game. Chargers, a team that I said was going to make the playoffs. I said that turnaround with Jim Harbaugh in the offseason, obviously Justin Herbert. They went out and got J.K. Dobbins, who was injured a little bit. A running back who, if he has not been injured throughout the course of his career, he was up in Baltimore, the team we were just talking about. If he had not dealt with all these knee injuries in particular, everything like this, he was a dog coming out of Ohio State, who we also just talked about. Everything's really connecting tonight, which is really strange. But J.K. Dobbins is one of the best. I'll say it right now. He's one of the best running backs in the league. Top 5 if he never deals with injuries. He might be top 3 if J.K. Dobbins never deals with injuries. And the chance that they might have him in this matchup might make a world of a difference for the Chargers. Also, their superior rookie receiver, Ladd McConkey, the Gladiator, going over 1,000 yards and really just leading this Chargers receiving unit. He showed up first year on the scene and took over in LA. It was like a Hollywood movie out there. You put Ladd McConkey, get him in the Gladiator. Make him the main role. Get him his own movie after what he has done in LA. Just being able to have that much of an impact coming in his first season. And he's really just, Justin Herbert just needed a target. Quentin Johnston couldn't catch a cold. And you put Ladd McConkey out there, and he starts balling, making plays, the Gladiator. I love it. I love it. I loved him coming out of Georgia. I thought the pick was perfect. I thought it was a great fit, and we're seeing it on full display. It was a great fit. And I believe the Chargers are going to come out here. I think they're going to win this matchup. They're going to go into Houston. I'm not quite sure when this matchup is played. If it's prime time, that's even better, a nighttime game. But they're going to go into Houston, and I believe they're going to pull out a win here. I think it'll be a close game. I think this will be one of the closer games on Wild Card weekend, and I believe the Chargers are going to come out here, and they're going to win this game by 3. It's going to be a close game. Justin Herbert, J.K. Dobbins chipping away for that Chargers offense. If J.K. plays, I'm not 100% sure on that either. I believe the Gladiator will have a great game in his first ever career playoff game, and this is a Chargers team that gets redemption all the way back for 2022 when they blew that 27-point lead against the Jaguars. I think they're going to get back in the win column in the playoffs. They're going to advance, and they're going to play the Chiefs in the divisional round. So just to go over it once again, the divisional round would be Kansas City hosting the Chargers, and then we would move it. It would be Buffalo hosting Baltimore. 2 great games, 2 must-see matchups, and if it plays out that way in the AFC, that would be very, very interesting. Flipping over the NFC. This is the side where things have just been hectic all season because you have the NFC North, the Lions going 15-2. Then you have the Minnesota Vikings going 14-3. You didn't know until the final game of the season who won that division. And the Vikings go 14-3. Listen to me. 14-3. And they are the 5 seed. That is how crazy that North was this season. The first time, I believe the year was 1980 something. I believe it was 88 possibly. The AFC Central. You would think we're talking about the MLB. The AFC Central is the last time a division had two teams have over 14 plus wins. The NFC North did it this year. Also, the Packers finished with what, 12 wins? Right behind that line. If they would have pushed three over, no doubt that would have been the first division in NFL history to do it. I don't think it was possible. The Packers suffered 5 losses on this season. 4 of them were to either the Vikings or the Lions. The Packers suffered 1 loss, not to a team named Minnesota or Detroit. That is why they are so dangerous in this matchup to Philadelphia. And I honestly believe this is the question mark game of the wild card. Not the question mark game, the exclamation point game. Both. You have a question mark and then an exclamation point. I believe Green Bay is going to come out here. Jordan Love, he has experience in the playoffs after traveling. They went into Dallas last year and knocked off the Cowboys, NFC East opponent. They turned around. They went into San Francisco, almost sent that game to overtime. Embers Carlson missed field goal. Really, again, it doesn't all come down to a field goal, but they would have been in a playoff situation, a divisional round against the 49ers last season, had they made that field goal going into overtime. And they just should have been in that game. I believe this is a team, especially the Eagles, they don't really want to get too deep into past years, what happened to compare for this year's matchup. I don't really like going off prior games, but I'm going to for this one because I just think this coincidence is way too funny to not mention. The Eagles get knocked off, upsetted in the wild card last year by the Buccaneers. Granted, they were the 5 seed going into the 4 Tampa Bay's territory, but still, they were favored in that matchup, lost that matchup against Tampa Bay in Tampa, and really got upset big on Wild Card Weekend last year. And then the Packers went into AT&T Stadium, Jerry World, and upset the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. And the Packers have a chance to upset another NFC East opponent, and the Eagles have a chance to lose in the wild card again on another upset. And I believe it will happen. I believe it will happen. I believe the Packers are going to come out here. They're going to win this game by 6. Don't ask why the oddly specific number. I just believe Green Bay is going to come out here and win by 6. I believe it will be a good game. Jordan Love's going to be dealing Dontavian Wicks. Look out for the name, Dontavian Wicks legacy game. He's going to go off in this playoff game. He's going to catch plenty of balls. He's going to be his favorite target throughout the course of this game. And the Packers are going to take care of Philadelphia and move on to play division rival, the Detroit Lions, in Detroit in the divisional round. That would be a matchup to see. I think what I'm doing with these predictions is setting up good matchups for the divisional round. But still, don't hate the player, hate the game. It worked in the quarterfinals. All right, it worked in the quarterfinals for college football. It set up the best matchups possible. My predictions, my method. There's a method to the madness, I promise. As we saw, it worked. So you gotta give some more credibility. Got to give some more credibility to the takes, you know. And then scrolling on down the line, the single most interesting playoff team year after year in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They find ways to do it. They find ways to land these spots. They find ways to win. And Tampa Bay is just right back here again, hosting yet another playoff game, winning that NFC South in Week 18, knocking off the Saints, eliminating the Falcons from contention. Bryce Young did that on his own anyway. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the 3 spot, playing Jaden Daniels and the Commanders' rookie Jaden Daniels in the wild card matchup in Tampa. This is going to be a fun game. This is going to be a very fun game. Gray and I already have this planned out. We're going to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch this game instantly because it's just going to be one of those games. We have that feeling. We have the feeling it's going to be that wild card game. I feel like the Packers are going to get the big upset of Wild Card Weekend. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington Commanders are going to have the game of Wild Card Weekend. This could be a shootout. Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels could exchange blows. They could lead their team where they want to go. This is a quarterback that had never really found a solid home until he landed in Tampa Bay, and he has done great things. 3-year, $100 million contract. You flip the script. Jaden Daniels is exactly what that community wanted RG3 to get. They have second redemption at this thing, and this is a franchise that has come alive this season. Tampa Bay, Washington can be the game of Wildcard weekend. They can exchange blows, just like we mentioned earlier. They can go back and forth. They can fight to the end, to the buzzer, to the final quarter, till the clock strikes 0. This could be an absolute shootout of a game, and I believe the Commanders are going to pull off another upset in the NFC. I believe the Commanders are just going to find a way to topple the Buccaneers late into the game to a point where the Buccaneers are not going to be able to respond in time, and Washington is going to get a huge playoff victory. Funny enough, the last time, I don't know how, you cannot make this up. The last time Washington was in the playoffs was against the Tom Brady-led Buccaneers, but they were in Washington for that game. They lost that game. They were the 4-seed Taylor Heineke starting playoff game. Everyone remembers it. Probably not, but a lot of people remember. Probably not. Some people remember it. Some people remember that game in Washington. Tom Brady goes in and just stomps the Commanders. Jaden Daniels is going to be doing his film. He's going to say, with that Tom Brady guy, he was all right at football. That Tom Brady guy, what he did in our stadium, in the wild card, not acceptable. He's going to go in there. He's going to get Taylor Heineke's get back. Everyone wanted to see Taylor Heineke win that so bad. Jaden Daniels is going to get Taylor Heineke's get back in this game. He's going to find a way to pull it out, and they're going to beat the Buccaneers in the final seconds of the matchup. Book me on it. I'm just saying now, this could be the game of Wild Card weekend. If the Commanders and the Bucs come out, they trade blows the way that I expect them to trade blows, this could be the game of Wild Card weekend. And now moving on to the final game, Monday night. Los Angeles Rams and the Minnesota Vikings, the 14-3 Minnesota Sam Darnold-led Vikings. Kevin O'Connell, argument for Coach of the Year. I think Dan Campbell won that award when they beat them last week, back in Week 18. That's something we mentioned on Christmas, is whoever wins that matchup wins Coach of the Year. So I do believe Dan Campbell has that Coach of the Year wrapped up. But still, Kevin O'Connell, what a season. He has led this Minnesota Vikings squad to. He took Sam Darnold and he turned him just into a madman. Sam Darnold out here slinging the rock like he never has back in his USC days. He's looking like he's in the Rose Bowl against Penn State all over again, and I love it. The 2017 Rose Bowl, Penn State, USC, if you haven't seen it, you need to go look it up now. But the Vikings-Rams in SoFi Stadium Monday night. The last time a wild card game was played in SoFi Stadium on Monday night was when the Cardinals tried to go into Los Angeles and dethrone the Rams, and they failed. They failed miserably. Kyler Murray got embarrassed. The Rams went on to win the Super Bowl, but that is not going to be the storyline this time. I believe Sam Darnold and this Viking squad, Jay Jettas, everybody is going to go into LA, and they're going to put on a statement. The Vikings, they're mad. They just dropped their final game of the season to the Lions to steal the 1 seed. They shouldn't be playing. In their eyes, they should not be playing on Monday. They should be sitting at home with a bye, the number 1 seed, but Detroit just put them on a burner Sunday night, final game of the regular season, and straight up embarrassed them. And I believe they're going to try to go and get back, and they're going to succeed. I believe the Vikings are going to rout the Rams. I believe the Vikings are going to advance next round, and I believe the Vikings are going to play the Commanders in the divisional round, and that's just such an interesting matchup to me. Vikings-Commanders, not one that we expect to see in this playoffs, but it could happen if this works out the way I think it will. And for me, the way I think this all works out is pretty much the AFC is chalked. Once again, it is the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Los Angeles Chargers, and then it is the Buffalo Bills hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Only one upset, which is not really an upset. I'm taking the 5 over the 4. And then you flip to the NFC. I have the Packers over the Eagles going to face Detroit in the divisional round. The 7 seed beating the 2 seed. Then I have the 6 seed in the Washington Commanders defeating the 3 seed in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, heading on to play the 5 seed Minnesota Vikings, defeating the number 4 seed Los Angeles Rams. My NFC, all 3 upsets. My AFC, only upset being the 5 seed. And that is it for the NFL Wildcard weekend. We'll be back for divisional round next week. Don't you worry. Along with the national championship, we'll also have that covered. I'm already telling you now, it's Ohio State Notre Dame. You don't believe me. If you want to believe one thing that you see on this channel, look me in the eyes. I wouldn't lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you right now. Right here, right now. I'm going to be so serious. I'm going to look you in the eyes and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. Ohio State going to beat Texas, going to advance to the national championship. Notre Dame going to beat Penn State, going to advance to the national championship. Ohio State going to defeat Notre Dame in the national championship. Ohio State are your national champions. And then the NFL, the Buffalo Bills are going to beat the Denver Broncos. The Baltimore Ravens are going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Los Angeles Chargers are going to beat the Houston Texans. The Green Bay Packers are going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. To keep it moving, the Washington Commanders are going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And to close it all out, the Minnesota Vikings are going to beat the Los Angeles Rams. Those are my predictions, both college and the NFL. Again, just a wonderful time of the year. Beautiful, absolutely amazing. We have 2 college football playoff games transitioning into 6 NFL playoff games. A 5-day playoff window, no buffer time in between. We continue to roll all 5 days playoff games starting tonight. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, but most importantly, make sure to keep God number 1. Make sure to keep up with the Lord. And it's just so beautiful. I can't describe it. Obviously, you don't want to force that onto anyone. You want them to find that for themselves and really just build that form, that relationship themselves. But I highly recommend, I must say, I do highly recommend living life for the Lord. It's a wonderful life. In my opinion, again, it's a relationship. It's something that needs to be planted, something that needs to be nurtured on your own. But I do recommend. Much obliged. Thank you guys for watching very, very much. As always, I am your host, BROGAN HILLMAN. Again, make sure to like, subscribe, but most importantly, keep God number 1. Thank you guys for tuning in for the NFL Wildcard weekend along with the college football playoff semifinal predictions. I love you all very, very much, and I will see you next week for some more BROGAN HILLMAN Show. It's been BROGAN HILLMAN, and I'm out.